Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth on a great viewer question, that is to talk a little bit more about the female psychopath and manipulation tactics. And I think that's a great viewer question. But before we get started, I just want to give a huge shout out to those of you who have recently contacted me. We do have a lot of people who are unaware that I do offer sessions, and I have currently extended my hours into the evening and weekends to consult with individuals. So if you do need help, need someone to speak with regarding the topics that we discuss here on the channel, please feel free to email me at peaceandharmonynow@gmail.com. I'm so sorry, a lot of people did not know that I do offer one-on-one consulting sessions. Just please email me or comment or something. I'd be happy to reach out to you and connect. So we're zooming in and focusing in on really what I would say, namely, I would say one of the main hooks that really is exhausting and takes people down with the female psychopaths, sort of their tactics, is that of character assassination of others. Character assassination of others, meaning they are trying to disrupt your sense of reality, your sense of identity, to the point where it is null and void. Null and void, meaning non-existent, non-effectual, disempowered, not able to be revived, not able to exist, not able to breathe, live, and function. This is a sense of reality. This is very, very, very lethal and serious topic here. This is not just, oh, wow, I'm overwhelmed by this really, strong woman. I mean, this is not your typical Sally. This is not your typical Sarah. You're talking about somebody who is really who has crossed the line and will cross the line again and again to get what they want. And this requires them to usurp or take other people's attention and energy so they can manipulate and tie around their finger. Basically, just like they're pulling a puppet or a puppeteer, as if literally people become, made a puppet for this person, doing their dirty work, doing their leg work. Look over here while I do this over there. I mean, they get you into the palm of their hand. Not, the palm of a hand of the great creator. We're talking about being in the palm of a hand then of a master manipulator and someone who really distorts people's sense of reality. This is scary. I mean, this is really, what you talk about on real, what you might call psychological torture. I mean, it becomes very, very insidious, and people really struggle once they have found themselves sort of in the hook, in the midst of this sort of what can be emotionally paralyzing or emotionally asphyxiating influence. It's not a relationship, it's a one direction influence where they try to subdue and sort of emotionally inoculate their prey, almost to like a stun gun position where they literally begin to freeze like a deer in a headlight. I mean, if you must be familiar with that. In other words, if a deer is crossing a road and they see a headlight, they just become shocked. They just look into the light and they can't flee themselves to safety. This is just one of their natural reactions. And, when we're talking about someone, a female psychopath, they will go after the character assassination, which means to really erode and corrode your sense of I am, who you are, what you're good at, what your qualities are, what your history is, what your experience is, that whole road of the journey. They'll just try to make null and void, particularly by gaslighting, character assassination, and sort of what I would call not really witnessing other people. They have an ability to sort of, I don't want to say like vaporize others, but just act as if they aren't there, that they are, in other words, if you're not sort of on their wavelength, if you're not on their crazy train, you will feel that you are then, maybe made the wrong mistake, and you rode their crazy train, their emotional ups and downs, their manipulation, the cunning side where you thought, oh, isn't this person fun? Isn't that a great game to play? Or isn't it, this must be how, relationships that you see in the movies go. I mean, you might have come to all these conclusions. This is the best I'll ever get. Whatever it is, people are oftentimes then finding themselves unconscious in the relationship, meaning they feel like a rag doll, like they feel that they are a stuffed animal, that they are treated without sort of what I would say being witnessed or being related to. There was a spiritual tradition that talks about how someone is anointed. They do not anoint others. In other words, in other words, they do not witness the sort of the life spring well within others. That is your lifeblood, your chi, whatever you want to call it, your you, whatever your energy is. They basically want to shut that down, like like just a lever shutting down the electricity to the building. They just want to take the big clamp lever and just have it all go black, have it all go dark. And when that happens, people find themselves, I think, they don't realize the influence. Not only they don't understand the cause, they don't understand that's created this, they don't understand how to get out of it. They become sort of, they lose touch with reality or their senses and their ability to think. Their ability to stand up for themselves, their ability to be decisive. It's a very engulfing energy, which is very difficult to extract and separate yourself from unless you know what you're dealing with. In other words, they just eradicate your boundaries and standards and try to replace it with theirs. So, and this is usually done by supplanting or through character assassination. Doing things behind your back, doing things when you're not looking, very tricky maneuvers. And then this, what do they do? And it creates a distorted and uncomfortable sense of reality. It gets people feeling fearful, chronically fearful and afraid, feeling that something is being eroded, but they can't quite put their finger on what it is, but they just know that they feel that they cannot stop it. It's then a feeling of powerlessness, and then look what I just hustled away from you. Your money, your time, your family, your job, your credibility, your identity. I mean, this is just what they go for. The character assassination is a big one because they'll try to sort of ridicule and make fun of their perception of you, which is based on a lack of conscience. So if you aren't buying, what they're trying to put out, the false accusations, I mean, it goes a lot deeper than what most people have encountered, I would say, in their lifetime. You get the sort of crazy eyes, the sort of either the fiery look behind, kind of sort of what you might call, I think a viewer had made a comment about this, and just sort of that voraciousness or almost like out for blood like look in their eyes, just what you might call crazy eyes. What was that Netflix series, Orange is the New Black, or and they had that one prisoner who has crazy eyes, and no matter what, I think everybody just sort of gave into this person because they were so crazy. They had overwhelmed others. So it makes, there's a look in their eyes which you cannot mistake. You're not dealing with someone who is cooperative, compassionate, empathic. You can feel it in their eyes. It's a fire, or it's a coldness, or it's a lack of presence. But namely, you have to be very careful of the very terrifying state of character assassination and then gaslighting and brainwashing, where it sort of erodes your sort of grip on reality, your sense of reality. And that period of time can go for a long period of time, and it can also be shortened if you take up no contact, until you hit a rock bottom. until you go, you know what, I've seen enough. I've seen it all. And this, I'm going to get off of this crazy train. I'm going to jump off. I'm just, wherever I land, I'm no longer just going to be on this escapade. And so they discredit the validity of others. So and very specifically to the point when it comes up to your strength. You might be a master woodsman. You might be a master coder. You might be a great cook. You might be a great writer. You might be a great storyteller or joke teller. You might have a great sense of humor. These things that make you you. This is the I am. This is what they go for. They try to erode the identity, the I am. And that which is good, healthy, functional, is going to be up for contempt and for being targeted and sort of ripped away from you. This is known really as, it becomes a very, very painful and depleting cycle of insidious psychological abuse, which is usually coupled with, but I love you, but you're mine, but I'm the best for you. But, there's all these sort of, I did this for you before, or there's always some sort of negative anchor that's like an emotional quicksand. They have you anchored in emotional quicksand, but people just keep giving in and placating and appeasing the female psychopath because they don't feel that they have any other options or choices. They just give in. They become the puppet. They lose their own ability to pull their own strings, to think for themselves, to walk away when you need to walk away, to say no thank you when you mean no thank you, and not be worried about a psychological or psychopathic rage fit that this person will then, give you the look, give you the whatever. And so if they discredit your validity, and so they'll make sure that you don't have any legs to stand on. This is how they break people down. They make people weak. They will try to outsmart you, outrun you, whatever you. It is all about it becomes a very pathological sense of envy and jealousy over others. It's not like, oh wow, like I want that car. It's like, I'm going to take that car and I'm going to make sure that you don't have one. This is not your normal. This is not a normal, difficult relationship. When it starts getting really, psychopathic, you're dealing with someone with a real antisocial personality, meaning that they're an intra-species predator. They are trying to get the lifeblood, chi, energy, attention, whatever it is that they want. It is all up for grabs in their mind's eye. To them, that's just how business as usual for them. And so they'll usually pull people in the wake of their path. They'll really attract and pull in people who either are easy prey, who have a lot of needs, who are very lonely, who fall for their tactics, who fall for their bullying behavior, who think and mistake, oh, this must be a strength. This must be how, it is. And so people go through sort of a paradigm shift, I would say, a paradigm shift of perspective when they get in a relationship with a psychopath. It's literally, they begin to then give up their way of looking at things and have it supplanted or replaced with a disempowering way of looking things, namely one that gives in and basically cause you to fall down to right into almost like a fly on flypaper into their trap where you can't extract yourself because your I am becomes null and void. This is a very scary psychological state to be in. Unless you have seen people do this to others and have seen, behind the curtain, who have, you've seen when they think nobody's looking, when you've seen them exposed. This is not your regular sneak. This is the people who feel that they are above and beyond the law, who don't have to cooperate with certain societal rules or norms, that they feel that they're above it, that they can cheat the system, and they get by on fooling others. We're not just talking about a little fool. We're talking about really deep and chronic long-term deprivation of a reality, depriving you of what is actually truly real and allowing your I am to express and develop itself. This is known as self-actualization. This is living from your center, from how you're supposed to be living. Your inalienable human right is that of wholeness, and that you are enough. And to have that reinforced, but they'll remove that from the mirror of what you're looking at. So in other words, I liken it to a crazy house mirror. So, when you're looking at them, all of a sudden you become very short and fat, or you become very tall and wavy. You don't have an accurate sense of yourself reflected back. It's distorted. And so if they can distort your reality, distort your I am, get you to dissociate and check out, and not be able to act, live, speak, breathe, sleep. If you're not on the crazy train, they're going to make sure that you're going to pay the price and suffer if you don't cooperate and basically resign to them. It becomes a very much of a resignation. Do not resign. Do not give in. Do not fall for the brainwashing. As if they are trying to create an altered reality where it is predicated on fear and intimidation, bullying behavior, discrediting the validity of your I am and who you are, what you've been through. You then get caught up in a cycle of having to explain and justify yourself. You are not constantly on trial. You don't have to constantly explain that you're a good person. You don't have to constantly explain that you are a person who is worthy of integrity and respect and deserving of open and honest communication. If you don't stand up for these standards, then you're going to fall and buckle. You have to come back to what I always call your boundaries and standards. Re-erect these. Create these. Know how important it is for you to take ownership of your own internal real estate, your I am, your identity. What you have out there in your life, and to have gratitude for that. There's a very insidious, part of the the character assassination is predicated or typified by basically where they challenge and invalidate your thoughts. Invalidate your thoughts. So what you're normally natural thinking based on your experience, based on your walking life. So what you know to be true, that will be the target for which they're going to try to yank the carpet out from underneath you, yank your knees from being able to buckle and stand up, and making sure that they embrace an altered sense of reality, which is based on your own character association, and then they then judge you from a lack of consciousness, with a lack of morality. They're evaluating you based on no morals, no moral compass, no sort of conscious conscience. In other words, I have a moral character. They do not have that running in their veins. It is ice water, whatever it is, snake skin. You want to think of it as, it is not. Oftentimes, they are trying to. It is not the altered reality, the devalued reality that they're trying to create. It's an environmental tension. It's a toxic pathology. It becomes lethal. It becomes very, very uncomfortable and very difficult. A lot of people don't know where to turn. So when they invalidate your thoughts, invalidate your emotions, your perceptions, and your sanity, they're just, in other words, right when you think that you would be, talked to, or da 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 da. I mean, they will yank it out because they know what would be supportive of you and what would not be supportive. The female psychopath is always going to try to pull that rug out. So they're always going to go for your center and focus, because if you are in your center and focus, you might be able to claim and validate the fact that you are onto something. Your gut is trying to tell you something. You feel uncomfortable around them for a reason. This is not something you're making up. But the psychopath, the malignant psychopath, the female psychopath, will try to get you to drink from that toxic Kool-Aid. and get you, just sort of really in an altered state. This is not your typical relationship. This is not your typical relationship that just went south. This is not a typical relationship where you just had a disagreement and are growing in different directions. We are talking about someone who is out for the blood. I mean, they are out for, they just, and the degree to which they can harm the innocent, hurt the innocent, take advantage, cause people's, to cause people's profession and their job to crumble, to allow somebody's family to crumble, to allow something that they have worked on for decades just to be gone in an instant. They just help themselves to the whole mashed potato. I mean, this is just business as usual for them. And because the female psychopath does not have a conscience, they really literally do not feel that they have done anything wrong. So there is no checks and balances where you can sort of work it out, come to Jesus, have a kumbaya, handshake, have a high five, jump, touch bellies, have a big bear hug. There is no closure. It is all like a prank. But the degree to which the prank is, I think most people would be shocked and stunned. That they would marry, that they would falsify an identity, falsify a resume, falsify whatever stories, falsify documents, to in insurance, falsify documents to a realtor, falsify, all sorts of stuff. And so you don't feel witnessed. You don't feel, this is a very intangible but crucial part of how you can extract and pull your sanity back, your senses back, your empowered I am back. So if they can invalidate you, in other words, you didn't see that, you didn't hear that, you didn't feel that, you didn't smell that, and then people get disoriented. It's a very disorienting, but people, because then of the disorientation, they lose their stamina, they lose their personal strength, they lose their I am. They're fearful and on an energy or a lifestyle that they do not like to live on. And especially as it continues to move forward and progress in life, it becomes even more unbearable. And then you have the volcanic moment, you have the confrontation, you expose them really for what you know them to be. And so it's kind of like, I told me so. And so you want to have that I told me so moments. So they will exhaust you to the point where you're unable to fight back. They've done something so incredulous, so horrific, that you can't it becomes too late. And this is what they're banking on. If they can hustle, if they can lie, if they can cheat, if they can text, their second and third person who they're dating while they're with you. This is just how they keep their crazy train going. And you might find that you're in the sleeping car of the crazy train. You might find that you're in the caboose. You might find that you're in the Freightliner. You also might find that you're stuck on the roof and there ain't no trapdoor getting you back in. You will find yourself really feeling like another engine is running your life other than your own. This becomes very, very scary to the person who is living this. And so, people then become very, I would say sometimes they have almost a collapse, a emotional collapse, a psychological collapse where really they can't go on for some period of time. And, gaslighting, it really, of course, that's a term that goes back to the Patrick Haynes film called Gaslight. Patrick Hamilton in 1938, I think it was actually a play, but I think it was also made into a movie. In 1944, there was a film made called Gaslighting. Gaslight is basically a thriller, for some people, and so I really don't like that. I really don't like violence, all those things, but it leads to, a heightened sort of, these thoughts are not my own. I don't like to be thinking all this. I can't get to sleep. I have these intrusive thoughts. So that's the energy that they put into motion. That's like the match that creates the fire that is all consuming and sort of feels like it's destroying your energy or corrupting your identity, corrupting your your sense of health and your functionality. You know, I've got a well-oiled life, you know, feeling that way. And it can, you know, so realize that if you have had this sort of really in-depth and ongoing character assassination, yet this person is engaging in cognitive dissonance, what they say and what they do or don't do does not match. So you've got a real, you know, you've got a real riff and it's a difficult computation. It's very difficult to compute. So that's why a lot of people get mental blocks. They get stuck. They get in a stalemate. They cannot grow. They can't move past this feeling. It's very scary. So they will, basically try to, blindfold you and then, be careful because I'm walking away with the family silver. I'm walking away with your contact list. I'm walking away with your client list. I'm walking away with whatever it is that I want. Maybe they just want a spare tire out of your car. Maybe they just want an antenna to take from whatever. I mean, maybe, they will want these odd and strange things. And then it's just like a constant bleeding. Like you feel like you're being bled out, losing energy. You've got to stop the bleeding. There's a hole in the boat. I mean, you wonder why you are sinking. It's because there is a leaching of energy and really divine energy. I would say good, healthy, truth-based energy, which is infused with light, which is infused with just sort of, a feeling of peace and acceptance. And so they create a fearful heart in others. And then with the understanding that you'll act out of fear and then just have a knee-jerk reaction just to do whatever it is that they want, go along with their gaslighting. And until you are strong enough, and until you have been able to see and know, you will then say, no, I am not falling prey to this predator. It's just as simple as that. Once you understand what you're really dealing with, and you know what you're dealing with, but it's very difficult to be assertive because the female psychopath will make sure to invalidate your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You did not see this. You did not hear this. You did not notice this. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But they'll try to overpower you and just sort of do the smear, the Vaseline on the glass so that you cannot see. And it's very disorientating. It is. It's very much like a Vaseline on the glasses where, oops, I didn't just smudge up your image. I didn't just, hurt you. I just didn't, fool you and take this from you. I didn't just fool you and take all your client contracts. That didn't happen. I didn't do this to your computer, your phone. I mean, they will just continue to rebuff. I mean, these, and I'm sorry, we use a lot of vocabulary here on the Peace and Harmony channel. And I want you to understand, because part of healing is you need to understand the cause, this crisis effect, and what it is that you are experiencing. I mean, I've always kind of been this way, what is going on. I do not settle for being violated again and again and again. And so, once you've had it, you kind of see how this works. So with this, what was I going to just look up? I just actually forgot. So anyway, there is a very important aspect for you to retain your sense of I am. You have to pull yourself back in together. Stop becoming a cooperator to a gaslighting, brainwash, sort of forceful energy that you will get from these people. They will have an agenda to, it's the old right under your nose manipulation. This is what they go for, because I feel, because they don't have that same richness of emotions, that they have a different spectrum of emotions that they're working on. Specifically, what is rewarding to the female psychopath, I think, is what can I get away with? What can I just fool other people? It's almost as if they're going to have 2 dates at the same restaurant, have one at 11, the other at 1, and then just, see if they will spot each other in the restaurant. It's this sort of gaminess that you will get from the female psychopath. And I think a lot of men feel flattery in the beginning, and their manliness or their machismo is sort of primed up or pumped up. And so that's why they begin to then tolerate the abuse until it really becomes intolerable. Then people begin to question and learn. If it's become this way, you have to go no contact. Get off of the crazy train. Just jump off, hand in your ticket, shred your ticket, whatever passport you got to jump on it. No thank you very much. I like where I'm standing. This is your buddy, and stay grounded in your I am. And eventually all your energy will come back into your being. It will take time, but you have got this. This is your buddy. Peace and harmony with you here today. And I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and for goodness sake, please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace be with you, and have a beautiful day.